Hi, this is Akila, and I am on location in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. My guest today is a person of interest and one to be on the lookout for. He is my friend, my business associate, and my part-time boss. And this young man is just steps away from becoming a self-made millionaire. Now, I asked a question. What does a college student, an entrepreneur, and a 27-year-old man all have in common? Well, join me now as I talk with Bronson Williams, and we'll find out together. We're live on location in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Take them 80.
Thank you, Bronson, so much for inviting me here. I know you are such a busy man. I know more than anybody that you're busy. And so you invited me here to sit and talk with you. You have three establishments.
Okay.
84.
Yes.
Okay. Bronson, thank you so much for inviting me here. I know you're a very busy man. I know more than anybody that you're busy. You go to school. You have three establishments that you run single-handedly. Of course, you do have staff, but you're the master head behind it. But we're going to know more about that because I think you have other people behind the scenes, like family members running the show. But anyway, we're at your Promised Land Child Care Center right here now. So, Bronson, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, who is Bronson, and describe yourself.
Well, that's kind of a difficult question for me to answer because I don't want to talk so well about myself that people say, oh, he's got this big ego, and so then you don't want to talk so humble because then they say, oh, he's fake. So you deal with all those different issues when you talk about who I am or who we are as individual people. But one thing I would like to say about myself is I think that I know when to stop and I kind of know when to go, and so I'm not afraid to fail. So if you say who is Bronson, Bronson is a person who will take a risk. Bronson is a person who's not afraid to fail because I understand throughout history and throughout what I've read that some of the greatest things that we have today is because people took that risk, was willing to fail, and in that failure you learn something. You learn something about yourself, you learn something about others, and then you know how to progress and move forward.
Okay. What kind of family roots do you have here in Rocky Mount?
Of course, I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, born here in 1986. Actually, I was born in Tarboro, but of course, my family's from Rocky Mount, so that's where we stayed. I don't know how I got to Tarboro, but anyway, that's another story. But Heritage Hospital in Tarboro does no longer exist now. But of course, mothers here, fathers here, aunts, uncles, grandparents, both grandparents, paternal and maternal grandparents are both still living. One of my grandparents, my grandfather, he's a pastor of a church. And so my mom, of course, she helps me out here at that Promised Land Child Care Center. My grandmother actually helps me out at the radio station. So there's a lot of everything. So you definitely want to keep family involved because that's who reared you up. So why do you forget them?
So you have close family ties.
Oh, of course.
And everybody works together.
Of
now,
course.
you mentioned grandfather being a pastor.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean you grew up in the church?
Yeah, definitely grew up in the church. Now, from I can say from birth, but definitely grew up in the church. I still active in the church. And in fact, as we go to my other businesses and establishments, you'll find out that that's centered around the church, so to speak.
So what do you do in the church? Are you involved? Are you actively involved in the church,
And,
other than just being a church member?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, at my church, I am the church treasurer. So I do keep up with the finances of the church. That is a weekly duty of mine each week. Also at church, with the sound system and the audio, work with that, sometimes even video. My grandfather's now on television.
Really?
Again, so he has a show. So whatever needs to be done. I think that when you're talking about the church setting, although sometimes you will find people trying to do somebody else's job, but then there are also people who will just lend a helping hand wherever they are. So whatever is needed to be done at the church, I try to be sure that I avail myself to do those things.
Now, I've heard also that you sing in the choir.
Yeah, once a month.
Once a month.
Yes.
Men's Day.
No, actually, that is our first Sunday choir, gospel
Okay.
choir, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I do sing. It's not like I sing in the choir just about every other Sunday. But as I got more involved, going to college and open up business things, sometimes that kind of took away the availability for me to attend particular choir rehearsal and things. So yes, I do sing in the choir. I still do that every month.
Okay. So then you are a Christian?
Of course,
Okay. So then you know exactly where your help comes from.
all day long, and that
Alright.
that's what is that, Psalms 121. I look to the hills from which cometh my help. Knowing my help comes from God.
Okay. So then by you having so many businesses, or not so many businesses,
Right.
but I guess I'm speaking futuristic
Go ahead.
right now.
Speak
So
prophetically.
by you being an entrepreneur,
Uh-huh.
would you say that God guided you to do these things?
God got yeah, God guided me rather, not you.
Wait a minute, now
this
he
end.
guides me too.
No. We're just talking about I thought this okay. Anyway, so yes, the God got me definitely. Being a Christian is that you're going to have these desires, okay, and then if you're fully indulging in Him, you're going to want to do things as Christ like. You're going to want to run your business Christ like. There used to be some wristbands, maybe it still exists. WWJD, what would Jesus do?
Right.
I think that's going to be the center point of what all that you do. One of the scriptures says, "Seek Him first and His righteousness, and all other things will be added unto you." When you build it based on a biblical principle, uh, it's going to grow. So you don't worry about it, and any problem that you do have, it ain't your problem anyway.
All right. So let's talk business for a while.
Okay.
All right. So how old were you when you started working?
Wow, when I started working, it had to be like 14 and a half years old. I remember
14 and a half?
14 and a half. North
So
Carolina, you
did
can
they
work.
call child labor?
No. 14 and a half, you can work in state of North Carolina with a worker's permit.
Okay.
So my dad and I went down to the Department of Social Services, and we got a worker's permit. They had to sign off. I think a caseworker or something had to sign off. Somebody had to sign off on it, and the employee had to sign off on it and give me permission to work at such an early age. But it was only during the summertime, so it was like I was working during the day, or as soon as I got home from school or something like that. When school got back in, the work deceased, basically, dissolved.
So what was your vision then working 14 and a half years old? Did you have to work or you just wanted to
Oh, I
work?
wanted to work. My mom didn't want me to work, not at all. And I think the more she didn't want me to work, the more I wanted to work and want to stay as much as I can. Yeah, I stay extra hours. I didn't care. Go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and get off at 8 o'clock at 9 o'clock at night. Didn't care. It was
At
something
14
cool.
and a half.
Oh, sure. Sure, it was something cool to do. It was better to sit in the house. I think the city gives young people an opportunity to do something positive and constructively with their lives at such an early age.
So then at what point did you have your own business?
My own legal business,
Yeah.
or just own business in general? Because I think I had a business that might not have been legal or something. Oh, well, I can say the word legal, but maybe not recognized by the state of North Carolina. There was some years ago that I went to Walmart or someone bought me a little cash box to kind of keep money instead of keeping it in a piggy bank, keeping it in a cash box. And so from that, it has like a little register type of feel to it because you open it, got little things where you put the bill money in, you got to change drawers there. So from that, I kind of opened up a little
Cash box store.
cash box store. I guess that's what you would kind of say, where I was selling little hug juices and things from a local wholesale store where I would go and get some different things and sell those, whether it be airheads or pickles or snow cones, all that good stuff. I was selling it there, right there out of my bedroom. My room actually incidentally had a door that goes straight to the outside. So some of my friends from the neighborhood would come and say, "Hey, I want this." So instead of going to the store, I was meeting them halfway before they had to pass my house to get to the store.
Okay. All right. So then, I forgot my next question.
It's on the paper.
It wasn't on the paper. What I was going to ask.
Okay.
So what did you do with the money?
I saved it. I had a lot of money for my age. I think I had a lot of money that I would put in the bank and just let it sit there and grow. But there's some of the money, of course, having a little own business like you do it in real life today, and that was real life then, I guess. But you had to reinvest. You had to go back and buy new supplies. So those are the kind of things I did with the money. But it just wasn't laying around the house because I like to see that extra money called interest being earned in my account. I want to see how high I could get that interest amount to get each month.
So when you decided to spend the money on something that you wanted, what was your first purchase?
What did I spend the money on? I have no idea. I think some of that money we went to the Bahamas. I took some money out because we're going out of town to the Bahamas and want to have my own little money there. I think. What else happens to that money? I don't know. I may still have some of that money. Who knows if I ever spent it all?
All right. So you started what after your cash box? Then you went to the city of Rocky Mount.
Right.
And then you went to radio.
Uh, no, actually, I went to television first. But before then, I had another transition, and that was me and a friend of mine from middle school time. We had a little television show called Your Internet Connections. We had a little business called Webmaster Plus, and we were doing computer repair and website design. And so we did a website for a local television station here in Rocky Mount. And instead of the station owner or manager paying us for that, he said, well, let me give you a show. That way you get people to know who you are. You get to answer questions and maybe earn a little money at the same time. And so from that, we did the show. Then I saw board operators doing work there in the television station. I said, well, hey, I think I want to do this too. So convinced them to give me a job and start working in television, actually.
Television where here in Rocky Mount?
Here in Rocky Mount.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. So we have to visit that television station.
Sure,
then.
sure.
You're still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay. All right. So then from from TV, then you started radio.
Yes.
So tell me about radio.
Radio was kind of crazy. The television station then it was located right around the corner from a new radio station that was coming. It was an urban hip hop and R&B station called Power 95, which still exists to this day. And the PD there was Paul Andre, and every time I would see Paul, it got to a point I wasn't just saying, "Hey, Paul," it was, "Hey, you about ready to put me on the air? You about ready to put me on the air?" That was the first thing that came out of my mouth, And one day he finally said yes, and I was shocked, and I'm like, "Really? Okay." And so I had an opportunity to go down to the radio station. He gave me some information about radio. And all radio stations have what you call a positional statement, which when a microphone is ever open, so to speak, when you're talking on the air, you have what you say, and then you say what you're going to say, then close it out. So we did that, and he put me live on the air one day and left out, and then came back and said I did a good job, and from there I worked there, from 04 to 07.
And what was the format then?
It was urban hip hop and R&B.
Urban hip hop and R&B.
And actually I was on 6 days a week on the air, or 7 days. 7 days at one point I was on the air 7 days a week, I think.
And while still going to school?
6 days. Yes, while still going to school.
Okay.
While still going to school.
Right. So then from Cashbox, from Cashbox to City of Rocky Mount to your internet business to TV to radio, where did you go next? Real estate or childcare?
Oh, let me tell you this, and at this time I wasn't even 18, okay?
Oh, my goodness. So you did all of this under the age of 18.
Wow, yeah, that's very crazy. So when daycare was next, but daycare was a little bit later on. It was about 2-3 years ago. It was in 2010 that I got into the daycare business, Promised Land Child Care Center in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And that's when I got into that. And then, while in daycare, kind of started getting into the real estate business just a little bit.
And all of this still what age frame?
I have opened up anything new since 2011, I would say. So at that time, I guess I was, 24-ish, 23, 24.
And all of this entrepreneurship going on.
Yes, indeed.
And still in school, a college student, right?
Sometimes I was sometime a college student, so I would go a semester, maybe off a semester. Here recently in 2013 January, I actually enrolled back into school full time as a full-time student, and so I hope to graduate in December of 2013.